So the Cannonball Run started in the early 70s from Red Bull Garage, New York, to Redondo Beach, California, and who can do it in the fastest time period.
To prove that he could do it with these 42 plus kids that he's brought through this program and made them productive, happy members of our society, I just have to make sure that that continues.
3-blade for that engine weighs about 40 pounds. This 3-blade for the Rotax weighs about 20 pounds. So we took half the weight out.
This is the Future in Flight podcast, coming to you from a hangar somewhere near the flight line, where we're pet friendly and there's even a fresh bowl of water and some treats for our four-legged friends. I'm your host, Shawn Staerker. Today, we've got an adventurous episode where speed meets purpose and aviation dreams never die. It starts with a Shelby Daytona Coupe, 2,000 miles, and a mission that'll make you believe in the power of community. We're telling you about Chris Holder and Charlie Duffie, two aviation guys who are driving a hand-built race car across America in 31 hours. Not for glory, but to help Tango 31 Aero Club, a program that's been changing kids' lives by teaching them to build and fly airplanes. When they lost their founder, Kevin Lacey, to cancer, these guys said, "Not on our watch," and turned a Cannonball Run into a fundraising mission. Then, we're giving props, literally, with our friends from Hartzell Propellers, a company that's been making propellers since 1917. We'll explore how they're bringing century-old engineering expertise to the affordable aviation market with their revolutionary Falcon series that cuts weight in half without sacrificing reliability. And we'll decode the phonetic alphabet, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and discover why this simple system is one of aviation's greatest safety innovations, refined through decades of international cooperation. From race cars to revolutionize youth aviation, to cutting-edge propeller tech, to the language that keeps our skies safe, this episode proves that aviation is all about giving back and moving forward. Let's roll. "2,000 miles, 31 hours, one hand-built car, and a mission to keep a dream alive for the next generation of aviators." Today, we're telling you about two guys, a Shelby Daytona Coupe, and the kind of crazy, beautiful idea that only happens when people who love aviation decide to do something about it. Now, imagine this. You're at Sun and Fun, surrounded by the smell of avgas and the sound of warbirds overhead. Your buddy walks up to you, a guy you've known for years through the aviation industry, and he says, "Hey, I'm building a Shelby Daytona. When it's done, let's drive it across the country as fast as we can." What do you say? If you're Chris Holder from Concorde Battery Corporation, you say exactly two words.
I'm in.
That's it. No hesitation. No, let me think about it. Just, I'm in. Chris comes from what he calls a family of speedaholics. His grandfather won 42 NASCAR-sanctioned events back in the late 40s and early 50s. Aviation and racing, they're in his blood. So when Charlie Duffie, founder of CJ Aviation, pitched him on this wild idea, Chris didn't need convincing.
When Charlie first asked me about it, I was absolutely all in. I think for any red-blooded American male, and I'm sure there's a lot of females out there too that would say the same thing, if you're told, "Hey, I'll throw you the keys to a Shelby Daytona, take it across the country as fast as you can go," I don't think any of us would turn that opportunity down.
And here's the thing. Charlie didn't just buy this car. He built it from a kit over 7 years.
So the vehicle is a Type 65 Daytona Coupe, originally designed by Carroll Shelby or his group of people back in the 60s. And this particular car is a kit car from Factory 5 that I was choosing to build a car finally after growing up and doing family things, business things, and I decided to say, you know what, I'm going to build this car. So I've been a drag racer my whole life, pretty much. But the coupe took me 8 years to build, and just got done painted and back home to Miami from the paint shop. And now I'm trying to get it registered, which I'll be doing this Wednesday, and then should be road ready to go, and put a lot of miles on her from here to wherever before May 1.
We're talking about a Type 65 Daytona Coupe, the same design Carroll Shelby's team created back in the 60s. And yeah, that Carroll Shelby, the automotive legend who also happened to be a pilot. Aviation and speed have always been intertwined. Charlie's Coupe?
408 horsepower. The car weighs 2,740 pounds with 425 pounds of torque at the rear wheel. And the color I chose was the Guardsman Blue and the number 15.
But this story really isn't about the car. It's about what they're doing with it. In McKinney, Texas, there's an airfield called Tango 31. And for years, a guy named Kevin Lacey, some of you might know him from the Discovery Channel show Airplane Repo, was doing something remarkable there. Kevin would find kids, often kids from tough circumstances, kids who maybe didn't see a clear path forward, and he'd bring them to his hangar. He'd get Cessna 152s, 172s donated, and then here's the key. He wouldn't touch them. The kids would tear down those planes to the bones and rebuild them completely. Interiors, engines, avionics, control surfaces, everything. And then they'd learn to fly in the aircraft they rebuilt with their own two hands.
I remember Kevin telling me one time that the examiner loved testing his kids because they were so knowledgeable of the aircraft because they had built them.
Since 2017, over 40 kids have gone through the Tango 31 Aero Club. They become corporate pilots, certified A&P mechanics. One of them, Savannah Hunter, now works for Cirrus Aircraft. These aren't just statistics. These are young people whose entire trajectories changed because someone believed in them.
To see a man like Kevin Lacey, who became famous, earned plenty of money, and he decided in his later years to take his time, money, and efforts to show kids a dream that they didn't know existed.
In February 2025, the aviation community lost Kevin to cancer. And when you lose someone like Kevin, someone who was, as Chris put it, the chief cook and bottle washer, you don't just lose a person, you lose the engine that made everything go.
When Tango 31 lost Kevin, they really lost the rudder to the ship. Someone to guide them to go out and raise the money and procure the parts and the things that they needed to keep it going.
So Charlie and Chris made a decision. That Cannonball Run they'd been dreaming about, it wasn't going to be just an adventure anymore. It was going to be a mission. May 1st, Jacksonville Beach, Florida to Dog Beach, San Diego, the Southern Cannonball route. The goal, 31 hours. See, the number 31 isn't random. Tango 31 is the name of the airfield. 31 hours was the traditional cannonball record before COVID emptied the roads and drivers shattered it. The symmetry was too perfect to ignore.
The ultimate dream for me would be that we raise enough money that we can create, I'm going to call it like a franchise, that we can have a Tango 31 in other towns other than McKinney, Texas, i.e. South Carolina, where Chris lives, Miami, where I live, and other parts of the country, to give kids a place to go to learn how to be, pilots and mechanics.
They're trying to raise $1 million, enough to make Tango 31 self-sustaining, enough so the interest alone can cover operations, insurance, travel, everything these kids need to keep flying to Sun and Fun and AirVenture, visiting the sponsors who believe in them. And here's what's wild. When Chris stood up at an industry dinner recently and told people what they were planning, the response was immediate.
The feedback that I got after the talk, we garnered probably north of $70,000 of commitments of donations that different companies were going to make to the cause. The aviation community is very, very, very small, Shawn, as you well know. And everybody knew Kevin, and everybody pretty much knew about Tango 31.
Sponsors are lining up. Michelin tires, Lightspeed headsets, and yes, they'll definitely need those headsets, because sitting behind a 480 horsepower engine in what's basically a race car, it's loud.
We're sitting behind a 480 horsepower Coyote in what is essentially a race car, so the noise level is pretty dramatic inside the cockpit. So we'll be wearing Lightspeed headsets for the entire run just so we can communicate. They're planning to stop at the Tango 31 hangar in McKinney during the run. And here's the beautiful part. The kids might jump in their planes and chase Charlie and Chris across Texas. Think about that. The kids Kevin taught to build and fly airplanes, escorting a cross-country charity run in his honor. I asked Charlie what this run means to him. He's been in aviation for 46 years. He founded CJ Aviation.
He's an A&P mechanic, a DAR. He's accomplished more than most people dream of.
And I just want to give back to the community that I love to do and be around, and all these great people in aviation.
And Chris, he put it this way.
One of my favorite sayings hangs on my office wall: no pressure, no diamonds. If you don't put yourself in there, you're never going to accomplish anything. So we might fall flat on our face, but we might succeed beyond our wildest dreams. But if you don't try, you never know.
Here's what I want you to take away from this story. Kevin Lacey looked at kids who didn't know aviation was an option and said, let me show you something. Charlie and Chris looked at an organization that lost its leader and said, let's make sure this continues. That's what aviation is. That's what this community does. We build things: airplanes, futures, each other. If you want to follow the 31 Hours for Tango 31 Aero Club Cannonball Run, head to Concorde Battery Corporation's pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Every post will include a link to donate through Zephy. They chose that platform because it lets Tango 31 Aero Club keep more of the money you give. And if you're at Sun 'n Fun this year, the car will be there. Rumor has it Charlie might even race Ghost Rider, Nathan Hammond's ubiquitous de Havilland Chipmunk. Remember, you heard it here first. Up next, we give props to one of the most important parts of the airplane, the prop. And who better to join us than some friends from Hartzell Propellers, who've been in business since 1917. Let's take a quick break and talk about one of our great show partners. This episode of the Future in Flight podcast is brought to you by Aviation Magazine, the official youth aviation publication inspiring the next generation of aviation professionals. From student pilots to A&P mechanics, airport managers to aerospace engineers, Aviation highlights the incredible journeys of those shaping aviation's future. Through their Rising Star program and the American Dream Tour, Aviation connects students with industry leaders, bringing real stories and career pathways directly to high schools and organizations across America. Ready to discover your place in aviation? Visit avinationusa.com to learn more. Let me set the scene for you. You're at the controls of a sleek Carbon Cub, the morning sun glinting off the wings. You push the throttle forward, and that beautiful propeller up front starts to spin faster. But here's something you might not think about. That propeller isn't just a piece of metal bolted to your engine. It's over a century of engineering, innovation, and aviation passion compressed into about 20 pounds of composite magic. Now we're talking propellers. And not just any propellers. We're diving into how one of aviation's most legendary names is making a bold move into affordable flying. I visited the Affordable Flying Expo in Lakeland, Florida recently, and I'm talking with Trevor from Hartzell Propellers. Now, if you've spent any time around airports, you've seen the Hartzell name. They're on everything from aerobatic aircraft flown by Michael Goulian to bush planes exploring Alaska. They've been making propellers for over 100 years. Yes, you heard that right, over a century in Piqua, Ohio. But here's what makes this story really interesting. Hartzell recently decided to do something unexpected. They looked at the booming world of light sport and affordable aviation and said, we want to play too.
There were those of us in the company who were paying attention to the market, who have airplanes with road taxis on them, and we were like, this portion is flying, it's growing, this is where people are going, this is where the market's going. We always want to participate. We're passionate about aviation, and that was a space that we weren't playing with. I mean that literally, like playing. It's fun to play around with airplanes, and we want to play too.
I love that word, play, because that's really what affordable aviation is all about, right? It's about getting back to the pure joy of flying. And for Hartzell, a company known for serious, certified, ultra-reliable propellers on everything from Cirrus aircraft to King Airs, jumping into the affordable market wasn't just a business decision. It was about passion. So they created the Falcon series, a propeller designed specifically for engines like the popular Rotax 916. And here's where the engineering gets really cool. They managed to cut the weight in half compared to their traditional certified propellers.
3-blade for that engine weighs about 40 pounds. This 3-blade for the Rotax weighs about 20 pounds. So we took half the weight out.
Think about that for a second. 20 pounds. That's the weight of a couple of textbooks or a small backpack. But in aviation, where every pound matters, that's huge. 20 fewer pounds means better performance, better fuel efficiency, and more payload. Maybe an extra passenger or a little more fuel for that cross-country adventure you've been dreaming about. But here's the thing that really impressed me. Hartzell didn't just make it lighter. They maintained all their legendary reliability and engineering standards. Trevor told me they basically started with a clean sheet of paper.
We evaluated all the decisions that we usually would make for a propeller system and then changed some of the engineering in order to make it as light as possible. Part of the ability to make it light is because of the engine. but it's still built to our design standards for reliability, certification, and robustness.
So what actually changed in propeller technology over the years? Well, Hartzell started with wooden propellers. Yeah, just like what the Wright brothers used. Then came aluminum, then composites starting way back in the 1940s. But the real evolution hasn't just been about materials. It's been about understanding exactly what different aircraft need for different missions.
A lot of it is getting the right propeller for that job, for that airplane. And we'll sometimes offer multiple propellers for the same airplane because not everyone uses their airplane in exactly the same way.
And that's the key insight right there. Whether you're doing aerobatics, cross-country cruising, bush flying, or just flying around the pattern on a Sunday morning, your mission matters. And now with the Falcon series, Hartzell is bringing that mission-specific thinking to the affordable aviation market. Now, if you're thinking, okay, this sounds awesome, but how do I get one? Hartzell's got you covered. You can go directly to the factory in Ohio, sure, but here's a pro tip. Check with your aircraft manufacturer first. Companies like Cub Crafters and Vans Aircraft have partnerships with Hartzell that can actually save you big money.
A lot of the times we have deals with the OEMs, like kit manufacturers, like Cub Crafters, like Vans, where we offer discounted pricing through that OEM. So a lot of times people think, oh yeah, I should go directly to the factory, and you can, but it's actually going to be cheaper for you to go talk to the people that are making your airplane.
Want to learn more? Head over to hartzellprop.com. They've got videos, manuals, and a team of people who genuinely love talking aviation. Trust me, I've seen them at events just like this. They're always engaged, always ready to help someone figure out the right propeller for their mission. And it starts at the top. You can usually find Hartzell Propeller President JJ Frigge right up front talking about the product. You want to know what I think is really cool about this story? It's about a legendary company that could have just stayed in their lane, kept making high-end certified propellers, and called it a day. But instead, they looked at this new generation of pilots. Maybe some of you listening right now, flying affordable, fun aircraft, and they said, we want to be a part of that. Because at the end of the day, whether you're flying a multi-million-dollar turboprop or a light sport aircraft you built in your garage, we're all part of the same aviation family. We all share that same passion for flight. And companies like Hartzell, they get it. So the next time you see a propeller spinning up front on the flight line, remember, there's over a century of innovation, engineering, and pure aviation passion making that flight possible. Coming up next, we take a deep dive into the aviation phonetic alphabet, where it came from and why we have it.
Green swan. We need to turn left.
Welcome back. So picture this. It's 1943, in the middle of World War II. You're a pilot trying to communicate vital information over a crackling radio. Maybe it's coordinates for a bombing run or the registration of a friendly aircraft. You say the letter B, but your wingman hears D. That one little mix-up, it could mean the difference between mission success and catastrophe. Now we're diving into something you probably heard a million times in movies and air shows, but might not fully understand. The phonetic alphabet. You know, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. But here's what many people don't know. This alphabet isn't just military jargon or pilot slang. It's actually one of aviation's greatest safety innovations, and it has a fascinating history that spans continents, wars, and decades of international cooperation. Before we had the standardized NATO phonetic alphabet, aviation was kind of a mess when it came to radio communications. Think about it. In the 1920s and 30s, every country had its own way of spelling things out over the radio. The Americans might say able for A. The British RAF had their own system, and chaos ensued when they tried to work together. Then came World War II, and suddenly Allied forces, Americans, British, Canadians, needed to communicate clearly across crackly radio frequencies with accents from all over the world. The result? The Able-Baker alphabet. A was Able, B was Baker, C was Charlie. It was a start, but it still wasn't perfect. Here's the thing about radio communication and aviation, and this is true whether we're talking about 1944 or today. You're dealing with noise, interference, different accents, and often life or death information. Letters like B and D sound similar. So do M and N, P and T. In a noisy cockpit or with a weak signal, one misheard letter could send a pilot to the wrong runway, the wrong altitude, or worse. After the war ended, the newly formed International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, realized they needed something better, something truly international that would work for pilots whether they spoke English, French, Spanish, or Portuguese as their first language. So in the late 1940s and early 50s, ICAO got to work. And I mean really got to work. They didn't just throw together a list of random words. They tested thousands of possibilities with pilots and air traffic controllers from different countries. They had specific criteria. Each word had to be easily recognizable, distinct from other words, and pronounceable across multiple languages. The words couldn't sound like other common aviation terms, and they had to be spelled consistently so someone hearing them could write them down accurately. The result? In 1956, NATO adopted the alphabet we know today, and by 1967, ICAO finalized it as a global standard. Let's break down some of the clever thinking behind these code words. Take the letter A. It's alpha, spelled A-L-F-A, not alpha with a PH. Why? Because alpha is easier for speakers of Romance languages like Spanish and French. Or, look at the numbers. They modified those too. 3 becomes tree instead of 3 because that TH sound can be brutal for non-English speakers. 5 is fife, and 9, that's niner, partly to distinguish it from the German word nein, which means no. Pretty brilliant, right? Every single choice was deliberate, tested, and refined for maximum clarity.
Skywest 5348, traffic 1 o'clock, 5 miles, 50 site of Lima, descending at a 1,800, American Boeing 757.
So how does this work in real aviation? Let's say you're flying a Cessna with a tail number N123AB. When you call up the tower, you don't say N123AB. You say November 123 Alpha Bravo. Every single character gets its code word. No confusion, no mistakes. And it's not just for tail numbers. Pilots use the phonetic alphabet for waypoints, airport identifiers, and clarifying any critical information. If there's radio interference or you're communicating across thousands of miles, this alphabet ensures everyone is on the same page. This story is a perfect example of international cooperation making aviation safer for everyone. Think about it. Countries from all over sat down together and created a universal language for the skies. NATO, ICAO, the International Telecommunication Union, they all agreed on this system because they recognized something fundamental. When you're 6 miles up in the sky, traveling 500 miles per hour, clarity in communication isn't just nice to have, it's everything. And the phonetic alphabet didn't stay confined to aviation and military use. Today, emergency services use it. Police officers spell license plates with it. Customer service reps use it to clarify account numbers over the phone. It's become this universal tool for clear communication. Whenever the stakes are high or the audio quality is low. If you're thinking about a career in aviation, whether that's as a pilot, air traffic controller, dispatcher, or any role that involves radio communication, you'll need to master this alphabet. The good news? It's actually pretty easy to learn with some practice. Start by breaking it down into chunks. Maybe memorize A through F one day, G through M the next. Create little stories or associations. Alpha, the beginning. Bravo, like something great. Charlie, like good old Charlie Brown. Next time you're watching a movie and hear a pilot say, November 7-4 Victor requesting clearance, or you catch air traffic control chatter at an air show, you'll know exactly what they're doing. They're using an alphabet that's been refined over decades, tested across languages, and proven to save lives every single day. It's not just aviation jargon. It's a testament to what happens when the world comes together to solve a problem. And that's pretty incredible. And that wraps up another incredible episode of the Future in Flight podcast. From Chris and Charlie's incredible 31 hours for Tango 31 mission keeping Kevin Lacey's dream alive, to Hartzell's century of innovation meeting modern affordable aviation, to the fascinating story of how the phonetic alphabet became aviation's universal language. Today reminded us that this industry is built on people who refuse to let good things die and who constantly push innovation forward. What really struck me about today's stories is the theme of legacy. Kevin Lacey spent his later years showing kids a dream they didn't know existed. Over 40 young people whose lives were completely transformed because someone believed in them. When cancer took Kevin, the aviation community didn't let that dream die. Chris put it perfectly. No pressure, no diamonds. If you don't put yourself in there, you're never going to accomplish anything. And that's true for Hartzell too. A company that could have stayed in their comfortable lane making high-end certified props, but instead said, we want to play too in the affordable aviation market. That's innovation driven by passion, not just profit. Speaking of not giving up, I need your help to keep this podcast flying. If today's episode inspired you, whether it's the charity mission, the engineering innovation, or the international cooperation that created the phonetic alphabet, please hit that subscribe button right now. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you're listening, that subscribe button ensures you never miss these incredible aviation stories. And here's my ask. Take just 30 seconds and leave us a 5-star review. Tell others why you love the show. It helps us tremendously. Want to support Tango 31 Aero Club? Head to Concorde Battery Corporation's social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and follow the 31 Hours for Tango 31 Cannonball Run. Every post includes a link to donate through Zephy, chosen specifically so more of your money goes directly to the kids. To each listener out there, no matter what your mission, thank you for being a part of this incredible community. Thank you for proving that aviation isn't just about individual achievement. It's about lifting the next generation higher. Until next time, keep your missions meaningful, your engineering innovative, and remember, when this community comes together, impossible becomes inevitable. We'll see you out there and up there.